Audience, Luke, Allie, and Tanner. Hello, welcome to my speech about electric vehicles and the new technology that is making them better than gas cars. Everyone is raving about the advancements in EV technology, but are they really that much better than gas cars? For as long as I can remember, I've been fascinated by gas cars, and their loud, gas-guzzling muscle cars are fizzing out. They're being replaced by electric cars, and how much better are these electric cars? The greenhouse gases emitted in the manufacturing of the battery makes these electric cars not as good as one would think. Second, people are running into problems while trying to drive the car, such as slow charging, the greenhouse gas emissions from getting the energy from the power plant, and the power grid is struggling. Lastly, there's a middle ground between the two, electric and gas, called a hybrid. These two really combine both perks of each technology, electricity and gas. When an EV battery is produced, there's a lot of laborious CO2 emitting processes that go into it. For example, mining the lithium, cobalt, or nickel that to get out of the ground takes heavy equipment such as big diesel cat miners and things like that to get it out of the ground. Once it's out of the ground, it has to be refined using 800 to 1,000 degrees Celsius heat temperatures. To get to those heats, you have to use natural gases, which produces a lot more CO2 than one would think. Crawford from MIT says, for example, the Tesla Model 3 holds an 80 kilowatt lithium-ion battery. CO2 emissions from the manufacturing of the battery would range between 3,120 kilograms, about 3 tons, and 15,680 kilograms, about 16 tons. Just how much is 1 ton of CO2? Just about the same weight of a great white shark. Now to compare the electric cars to gasoline cars. An electric vehicle running on energy powered by the normal power grid will be equivalent to 50 or 60 miles per gallon of a normal car, says David Keith, researcher from MIT. Driving EV has its perks though. Most have higher technology, including self-driving, regenerative braking, which helps keep the battery alive, and other things like that. In America, the majority of the energy we use comes from fossil fuels. But in places like New England, much of their power that they rely on comes from wind power or hydroelectricity. Since they rely on the cleaner sources and less greenhouse gas producing methods, their gas mileage is from 110 miles per gallon to 120 miles per gallon. Another problem people have is charging. With some chargers that can be plugged into walls, they're only 120 volt outlets, making the car take almost 22 hours depending on what size battery they have in their car. This makes it really hard to get from point A to B if you're driving more than 100 miles because most cars don't get that great of range. If your battery is only on half charge, then you can only drive at half the amount you would if it was on full charge. So this makes things a little harder. You can put a 120 volt outlet in your garage to plug in the big industrial sized Tesla charger so that you can get further on a night's charge. A study by Reuters' Paul Leinhart in July of 2021 states that his findings are all based on where your power comes from. It is estimated that 13,500 miles to become even with a gasoline vehicle in similar size of America. This study found that in America, it has 23% of their energy comes from fossil fuels. But in a place like Norway, it would get less. On the other hand, places like China or Poland, who rely on almost all natural gases, it would take 78,700 miles to become from an EV car to become more efficient than a gas car. Both of these estimates are done on a car that would drive 178,000 miles. A combination of the two sources is a hybrid. A hybrid is a combination of gas and electric. According to Jensen's study, there are multiple different types of hybrids. These include parallel hybrids, series extended range hybrids, and power split hybrids. Parallel hybrids are what your typical cars. They use an electric battery and a gasoline battery, or in a gasoline engine. When the car is coasting down a hill, for say, it would use the electric motor, which is smaller, and that would keep gas emissions down, and gas mileage would go up. But it would use the gasoline engine to go up the hill because it needs more of the power. There are also extended range hybrids, which are hybrids that have a gas generator in them to generate the power they need to get up the hills, but they use electric motors to power the wheels. The gas powers the energy powers the wheels. Power split is all three of these combined. It has a generator, it has a gasoline engine, and it has an EV and electric motor. These type of cars can bridge the gap between fully electric cars and gasoline cars. EV cars are eco-friendly, and they are much more eco-friendly than gas cars of the similar size. In the end, there's a bright future for electric transportation. As time moves on, cars will become more eco-friendly, and until then, we will still have gasoline cars, but eventually there will probably be no gasoline cars, and only electric cars will exist. Thanks for coming.